A very good morning. And we'll try to make this session very interesting as a promise. Uh, so the agenda, as it is mentioned, we are together. I have esteemed panelists with me, all represent the Insurtechs, founders, co-founders, and people who are actually driving things. So we are how to decode the rising Insurtech industry, how the future is unfolding and evolving. So we all have seen the meteoric rise of InsurTech in the last couple of years, the kind of investments which have only increased, I think 7x times, globally, and there are total in the last few years some 22 unicorns, of which 3 happen to be from India. So emerging customer segments, the high focus on data and analytics and it becoming a part of every business function. How do I increase my outreach? How do I increase the distribution? So there are multiple drivers which are enabling an ecosystem for insurtechs to come in and have a play. They are there, they are impacting, some are impacting distribution, someone is impacting, the claim settlement, someone is impacting. So there are multiple plays which these insurtechs have to play within the insurance value chain. So today I have the pleasure of having Prasad, Kulin, and Ankit with me, and some simple things which we are going to discuss with them as to how are they seeing the insurance, how are they seeing the insurtechs reshaping and transforming the industry, which part of insurance value chain they feel is being impacted at the present, and how in the future, which are the other parts of the value chain which currently are not, there's not much play of insurtechs, how that will unfold. So my first question is to you, Kulin.
So, thanks, Anjana. Just for context, Onsurity is basically an SME-focused employee health benefits platform where we have bundled wellness, healthcare, insurance, that is health insurance, personal accident, life insurance, all in a monthly format or a monthly subscription. We've seen that the SME segment was completely underpenetrated, right? And I think that's the starting point of the question that you asked, that today there are 63 million SMEs in India, and they hire close to 330 million workforce. And when we did our studies, only 5% of them are under the health benefits, right? And hence poses a big question. One, that why has no one gone behind it? And two, that how does one go behind it? And I think obviously the starting point was COVID-19, where it was a big wake-up call for everyone, saying that, hey, you know what, we need to have health benefits, irrespective whether we are a large corporate who's giving these benefits, or is it a small restaurant of 10 people. Everyone had to provide something to kind of either retain people or get them back to work. And I think from that perspective today, the entire customers, what customers are expecting has really changed, right? And post-COVID, what we've realized is that there are 4 pillars, at least especially at Onsurity, that we focus on. One is a complete control on the consumer experience, right? So when we say consumer experience, right from creating the product with your partners, but making sure that those products are bespoke or created for yourself. Second is the entire distribution part of it. You need to have a full control on it. And most importantly is the entire claims experience, right? Claims experience is not something that is just broken in India. It's a global problem, right? And that is something that we kind of look to focus on. And the last but not the least is how do you kind of use data right? From a perspective of either optimizing your efficiency or reducing your cost or personalizing products and services for them, right? So I think these are the four things that we kind of focus on when it comes to, when we look at ourselves as an Insurtech. These are the things that we like to kind of focus on. And hence, what we're trying to do is that we want to collaborate with insurance partners where we kind of help them in their value chain and replicate that at our end and make sure that we use technology to enhance that entire experience. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kulin. I'll move on to you, Prasad, where I would like to understand, as an InsurTech, if you can cite an example as to how a use case maybe or some case study as to how insurance carriers specifically have, leveraged the solution and what has been the impact on their value chain.
Okay, thanks. Uh, to give a background briefly, Perfios is a technology platform provider, and we concentrate on data aggregation, analytics, and also the entire digital transformation of the business process. So in that respect, most of the impact of an insurtech has been as a force multiplier, whether it is distribution, whether it is identifying the customer profile and being able to customize the products that are provided to them, and the entire servicing and claims part of it. While it is increasing business, the internal workings of the insurer also has to be geared up so that they are able to manage all this increased business in the same kind of efficiency or much better efficiency. So we see insurtechs being applied uh, to a majority in the distribution because of it being a distribution business. Most of the insurtechs are concentrated on the distribution of the business, of the insurance, but where we have been a lot involved is to transform the internal business also. So not just as you get more business from more channels, more insurtechs, more intermediaries, the working of the insurer has also has to gear up. It has to go to a higher gear so they're able to manage the extra business. So the entire processing, whether it's policy management, whether it is claims, settlement, underwriting, all of these systems have to gear up so that they're able to manage this. So the entire transformation, a focused transformation, not just, digitization, because it is a highly abused word. I didn't want to use that. So the transformation, making the entire business automated, there is a lot of focus in that. So as I said, it's a force multiplier effect. So for example, there are insurers, I mean the new age, the Echo and the Go Digit there, which are focused on, a digital first kind of a journey. Then there are others like Aegon, who have proclaimed that they would only use a completely paperless journey, whether it is onboarding, whether it is claims, without using any paper. So these kind of innovations have been made possible today, and it's only going to increase in the coming years.
Thank you. Thank you. So from the evolving, evolving needs of insurance and identifying the white spaces, let me move on to you, Ankit. Um, I just want to understand, the customers' expectations are also evolving, and that's leading to emergence of ecosystem and ecosystem economy. So how do you see this ecosystem economy impacting insurance, and how insurtechs and insurance carriers and customers, will have a play here?
So I think you've asked the most difficult question to me, but thank you so much. By way of introduction, I'm Ankit Agarwal, founder and CEO of InsuranceDekho. We are amongst India's fastest growing insurtechs. Uh, what you're saying, Anjana, is something which keeps me awake because the world is converging and the world is converging at a rapid pace. There's something which I say internally that data says the truth, everything else is a lie, right? And I don't think I have seen any industry evolve faster in utilizing data than insurance, right? And you look across segments, you look at motor, you look at health, you look at life, or you look at SME, which Kulin is trying to solve for, right? From a distribution perspective, not a product perspective, and even the SME piece, right? You will see data getting converged and used everywhere. Today morning, I just saw a post from Mayank, who's the CEO of Adit Birla Health. They'd launched a product where if a customer stays fit, right, and he does more than 10,000 steps every day, he gets activity points and he can redeem those activity points for renewing his policy. And there's a family of 4 people who've not paid a single rupee to renew their insurance over the last 2 years. That's a lot of money. For
Yep.
4 people, 2 years, it's a lot of money, right?
Indeed.
That is the power of what data capturing can do. Uh, so from a insurer perspective or a carrier, as you call it, right, um, you will see better underwriting. You will see better consumer experience being shipped out. Let us be very honest that insurance as an industry has not seen the same evolution which fintech has seen. Uh, in fact, a lot of startups, right, insurtech startups say कि इंश्योरेंस कंपनी अभी भी 1970 के दशक में चल रही है सो वो इवोल्यूशन अब हो रहा है दैट्स वन सेकंड आई थिंक फ्रॉम अ इंश्योरटेक पर्सपेक्टिव आई थिंक दिस इज the time which we all had been waiting for. The Bharat stack, that is NHTM, the payment stack, the entire DigiLocker stack is going to change the way we look at distribution of product and underwriting. From a consumer perspective, I think we are the Uber generation, we are the Swiggy generation. We also look at insurance in a similar fashion. We want insurance to be available to us when we want. We want insurance to cover the instant which we want it to cover, and we want to also ensure that we don't overpay,
True
right?
that.
So I think that's my humble submission to your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Ankit. I would like to come back to you, Kulin. On the similar note, I mean, how ecosystem, so while Ankit has elaborated his perspective where the focus is data, how do you think ecosystem is going to evolve and all the changes that the regulator is making, so there are series of changes which the regulator is also making so that there is huge penetration of insurance. So how do you see, I mean, the future evolving?
So I think no industry survive on its own, right? There's always going to be a collaboration between various industries. I think first of all, in the insurance space, one of the things that we want to do, and it's an ambitious goal, is that everyone, and I'm sure most of you guys will be saying this, insurance is a push product, right? We are saying that insurance does not have to be a push product. If you just see the mere value proposition of insurance, it should be a pull product, right? And I think it can only be a pull product if we solve the right problems in the insurance space. The first one being on the side of product creation itself, right? How do you use smart underwriting? And underwriting does not have to be only related to the past claims experience, right? It has to be so much more, like Ankit mentioned, that how many steps are you taking if you are doing health?
Something like we call it continuous underwriting.
Yes, absolutely, right? Understanding your customer, right? Understanding your customer is underwriting, right? At the end of the day. So how do we keep, in pace with our customers to understand what is the kind of product they want, right? Which will require to build an ecosystem, right? Second is the distribution part of it. Today, distribution is one of the key cost elements for any insurance company. And that I think needs to be kind of disrupted, where that benefit of the distribution cost needs to go back to the customer and making it more affordable, right? So today, for example, at Onsurity, our distribution costs are fairly low, and our healthcare subscription starts only at 145 rupees per month per employee, to the extent that we had a company who was into carpentry, and the guy said that we spent 500 rupees per month only behind the chai nashta of our other folks who are working in the company. So how do we kind of reduce down the cost of distribution with the help of technology? The third one is on the claims experience. Claims experience again is broken. Okay, just for a show of hands, how many of you guys have taken some claim out here, be it motor, health? Anyone for health claims? Right? Okay. How many of you guys landed up filling up Part A, Part B forms, and then attached all those documents, put it in courier, sending it to your TPA or insurance company? Who all have gone through that? थोड़ा ऊपर कर दो, ऐसा अच्छा लगेगा. हाँ, right? Now, what if someone told you that you didn't have to do that? Right? So at Onsurity, the way we've solved this is that our entire claims experience is on the mobile app. You don't have, there is no Part A, Part B, by the way, right? We use, your already available information, and from some other data sources, we are able to kind of fetch, your KYC information and your, your personal information, right? Second thing is, basis the documents, we are able to kind of pull in all the details that you had to actually put it on a paper form. So I think those kind of integrations from the ecosystem will be required, right? Those data sets needs to kind of obviously come, obviously with the consent of the consumer, but that's the way we'll start creating a much better experience. So I think if you are not collaborating outside of your own world, your industry is not going to grow. So if you are trying to disrupt Insurtech, you need to think about what is everyone else doing, and then get that into Insurtech, and that's the way we'll disrupt it. And I think for your other question, I'll keep it short, that even the regulator is kind of promoting this, right? They've created a whole sandbox environment where they are kind of inviting so many applications to think outside of the box and say what is going to work, what is not going to work. We ourselves saw the regulator take a very good initiative at IFSCA, which is in Gift City, where they had kept a sandbox to take Indian insurtechs outside of India, right? Saying that, what, if you're building something good, let's get you that international exposure. And we were lucky to be a part of that first sandbox also. So yeah, I think there is a lot of impetus. It's only about how much are we able to kind of derive out of it.
Sure, thank you. You want to add to it, Prasad?
Yeah, so I think Ankit and Kulin covered most of the parts. Yeah. I'll just add a few more points to that. See, the first thing that the ecosystem provides is again one more level of force multiplier. I talked about how for distribution, the insurtechs are providing that service. Now, that again is multiplied by getting into an ecosystem or a marketplace, right? So you get targeted customers at the point of need, as Ankit mentioned. So there are marketplaces today for financial products, right? Now, at that time is when an insurance also might be needed. So whether it is a life stage, whether it is a particular as part of a financial deal, so at that point, an insurance might be required, right? So today, insurance is a missing piece in a lot of these marketplaces and ecosystems, and where this has to be plugged in at the time of need. So it enables to provide that. So this is especially true, we talked about SME products, right? So the SME segment is highly underinsured, and there are enough and more marketplaces and ecosystems that service, say, B2B finance. Now, the banks, offline work with the insurers to ensure that financial deal, but the insurance should be part at the time of the deal. So that actually drives the growth. So that is number one. And secondly, being at that a point of need provides the insurer with a lot of information about the customer so that the products can be very tailored to what they need and also bundled. So which a normal distribution channel might not provide, this can provides an avenue to give a bundled product. So at the same time, you might need health, motor, property, and associated insurance at the same time, right? So this bundling is also needed. So the next point I wanted to stress is the instant fulfillment,
Yes.
right? So we talked about digital underwriting, online underwriting, but it has to lead to a fulfillment and a policy issuance at that time, right? So now to enable that, say for finance, we have open standards. We have the account aggregator, we have ONDC, we have OCEN, which sort of democratizes getting credit with an open standard. One of the things that will be needed is to have this open standard for fulfillment of an insurance policy, which is a missing link today. For, Ankit would know, for every product, there has to be a custom integration, and a lot of times it is a transfer of lead, right? So, but there is no instant fulfillment there. So, a woken kind of a standard, which will democratize issuance of policy. I think that is a missing piece which will drive the marketplaces. You wanted to add something, Ankit?
No, I think this is what me and Anjana were chatting about. The moment I met Anjana, she said, why are we not integrated on your platform? And I was like, ma'am, we are integrated on you are integrated on our platform, but there are, by God's grace, there are about 60 insurance companies in the country. And if you look at the various permutation and combination, between the 60 companies, you've got 600 products. So we may not actually be integrated for the product which you searched for. But yes, that's a big pain point. And I think tokenization or APIization is the way to go about. Also, as you were mentioning, underwriting on the go, right? The entire ecosystem in India will have to evolve to what's already happened in Europe and America, where you have companies like Trove, you have companies like VFox, which do a lot of underwriting, obviously on a profit sharing basis. You will have to pick and choose your partners, partners who are well capitalized, who have the ability, balance sheet strength to take the risk on your behalf and make sure that they become a partner of choice for you.
Sure. So just a thought came to my mind while we were talking about. So what we see is this ecosystem is leading to an integrated set of services, right? So, and these services are being consumed at the point of sale or point of consumption being the ecosystem, which may not be the digital asset of an insurance carrier, may not be for a Insurtech as well, right? So are we saying that, the way forward, the experience layer is always going to be of ecosystem, and that's how we see the world evolving? And the providers or the carriers will only be the providers of services? I mean, just, that thought came to me, so I just thought, let me just...
You want to go or should I go first?
So when we started, I told you, no controversial questions, please. I think everybody is going to coexist together. You cannot exist in isolation, right? A relationship a relationship that flourishes has to be a symbiotic relationship, right? And Bharat Desh 150 crore के लोगों का देश है. We are now officially or unofficially the world's most populous country, right? We call it our human resource strength, which I completely agree with. तो इतने बड़े देश में जहाँ पे हर 1.5 कोश में पानी बदलता है और हर 2.5 कोश में वाणी बदलती है. वाणी मीन्स लैंग्वेज. सॉरी, आई स्टडीड in a Hindi medium school, so my Hindi is good. My English is not as good as Kulin's, right? But इतने बड़े देश में you will never have a one product or one strategy fits all approach. You will have to go the way HUL has gone about, right? जहाँ पे आपको 1 रुपए के सैशे में भी शैम्पू बेचना पड़ेगा और आपको 400 रुपए के चमचमाती हुई बोतल में एक मॉल के अंदर में भी शैम्पू बेचना पड़ेगा. बाल दोनों साफ करेंगे, but you will have to decide what fits your pocket. So we will create a symbiotic ecosystem where everybody will thrive.
Cool.
So I want to add to that, right? From a ecosystem perspective, right? We've actually seen that your core product, right? That core product is something that will always get commoditized, right? It's always going to be your ecosystem and how well you leverage that ecosystem, which will create the moat. For example, our core is healthcare, wellness, and insurance, right? But what strengthens us is the fact that we work, for example, with an HRMS company, right? Where we have done an integration with an HRMS company. So, anyone from the HR profession out here? Anyone? HR? Or who knows about HR? All of you know about HR? Yeah? Most of you guys will go back and ask your HR counterparts or peers and ask them, how does your company's health benefits plan work? They'll say, we use Excel sheets, we send it to someone, they will upload it, right? For which in large companies, there are 3 people dedicated to only handling health benefits plan, 3 people. We are saying that what if a simple integration with an HRMS or a payroll, right? You actually could free up the bandwidth of these 3 people to actually take care of the people, right? And not just send Excel sheets. And these are the kind of ecosystem products and integrations, right? Which will help us, right? Second one is obviously the whole part where you can drive the health or the culture of health for a company. We've seen so many instances in SMEs at least, manufacturing plants and all, where they are just not able to understand how is the health of the people. With a proactive approach of getting tests or health checkups done, and then that kind of going back and creating a health score, it is not related to insurance,
Very true.
right? But if we are able to take such kind of ecosystem place, I think that there is no way that the underpenetration of insurance in India, I think India can be one of the biggest markets. By the way, I was speaking to a few people friends in Australia, and they say that the PNC market is $72 billion for a country which has only had 25 million people.
Interesting. Thank you folks for very interesting insights. Do we have any questions from the audience before I summarize our discussion? Yes, please. Can we have?
Yeah, hi. I think the discussions were really very good. I have a very simple question. Is that insurance industry in India has been on the upswing for some time now, right? It's been growing. If I'm not, that premium has been growing around 24, 32, some percentage around that. I mean, exact figures. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The question is this: when in the insurance industry there are so many participants, and why the penetrations percentage, which still remains hovers around 3.5 to 4%, is remaining there? Why it's not going to 10%? What are the reasons that this is not happening? What is going to be the watershed point when it's probably is going to take off? What are your views on that?
I'll take that given my distribution background. This is an industry which has been growing at anywhere between 17 to 20% year on year basis, right? So कई बार हम गलती क्या करते हैं कि हम सिर्फ ये देखते हैं कि 3.5% का पेनिट्रेशन है फ्रॉम अ जीडीपी पर्सपेक्टिव या पॉपुलेशन पर्सपेक्टिव. आपका भारत देश का पॉपुलेशन भी बढ़ रहा है, आपकी जीडीपी भी बढ़ रही है और इंडस्ट्री भी बढ़ रहा है, राइट? सो ऑन अ एब्सोल्यूट बेसिस the industry is actually increased. If you look at all companies, just today morning, the data for January came out. The overall industry is grown at 20%, right? Which industry in the country is growing at 15 to 20% month on month? I don't know of any other industry which is growing, right? So big round of applause for this industry. दूसरा क्या था कि अफोर्डेबिलिटी इज अ प्रॉब्लम किसी ने सॉल्व नहीं की. आज इस कमरे में जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं वो भारत देश के 2% लोगों में से है, राइट? They can take a holiday at the time they want to. They can go out and eat at a restaurant of their choice when they want to. They can go and buy a movie ticket when they want to. Trust me, between everybody in this room, this is a luxury. भारत देश की 95% जनता ये सोच भी नहीं सकती है. उनके लिए आज भी रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान फाइट है. वहाँ पे कुलीन जैसे एंटरप्रेन्योर जो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं कि 150 रुपये महीने में आपको हेल्थ दे रहे हैं, they are solving for the problem of affordability. That is the problem people need to solve for. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि मैं हेल्थ का 5 प्रोडक्ट ले आऊँगा और मैं किसी के हाथ में वो पैसा नहीं दूंगा जिससे वो हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस खरीद सके. भारत सरकार इसमें जेन्युइनली बहुत काम कर रही है. वी विल रियली हैव टू अप्रिशिएट द एफर्ट विच गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज टेकिंग, राइट, थ्रू देयर हेल्थ यूनिवर्सल हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस स्कीम्स. Lastly, I think we have a great regulator in IRDA under the captainship of Mr. Panda. He's taken a grand vision where to commemorate the 100th anniversary of our independence, right? He said every Indian will be insured. So I think the watershed movement is going to be there soon. We just need to keep focusing on solving for distribution, solving for product simplification, and layer that very, very strongly with the problem of affordability solving.
Correct. I'll just...
Just 1 minute, I have this here. I just want to flip the questions a little bit. This thing is that, when do you think is that penetration percentage is going to be around 10 in India?
So I don't think I'll be able to answer this question. I am not an economist, neither am I good in statistics. These are two subjects which I was very, very poor at in my school and college both. So we will have to continue to focus on solving for problems, and I'm sure that moment will come. In case you want to add.
Yeah, no, is 10% or 12%, I don't know about that, but today globally, I think if my, my memory does not lapse me, I think 8.9% of the GDP is what developed countries are going after, right? That's the average. Can it be more in India? Of course it can be more in India. But is that the right way to track the progress of the insurance industry? Possibly not. I completely agree with Ankit that what we need to solve is for the use cases, right? What we need to solve is for getting the product out there to the people. What we need to solve is that if I'm buying a product, I should get what I'm being promised. I think a lot of these things are missing today. So to your question, if you fix for low cost distribution, if you fix for giving what you've promised as a brand back to the customer, because half the times, I'm sure all of you would have heard in this line, "Arey, why should I take that insurance? वो claim तो देने नहीं वाला है करके," right? I'm sure most of you guys would have heard that when you're trying to buy a term life or a health insurance. That is one of the things that comes up. अरे कुछ भी ले लो, claim तो नहीं मिलने वाला है करके. The day we get out of that mode, I think that's the time the percentages that you're talking about, I think that will be realistic.
Yeah, well, thank you for the comments that you have made. What I said is that what's your view? Because, we have been stuck around the 3.5, 4% for long. And now that, there are so many people are in the industry, why the penetration percentage is not expanding is something I wanted to understand. Thanks for your views.
Thank you.
Obviously, it will require a whole lot of efforts to expand, definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Mithika here from Network 18. I had a question like, we have demat account for our stocks and other investments. Do you see IRDI coming in with something which brings all my insurance products under one hub? Because right now my life is with somebody, my health is with somebody, my motor is with somebody. So it's difficult for a user to track, and which makes insurance a tedious task for a person. What are your views on it?
I think Anjana can add to this, but to the best of my understanding, the regulators already come out with a guideline asking for digitization of all policies. On 1st of January, they made eKYC mandatory for every single policy in the GI space. Life insurance, it was already there. Also, what they've formally communicated, right, all intermediaries and all insurance companies have to share details of all insurance policies with DMAT service providers in case a user is sharing the details, right? You can add more to this.
Yeah, so the e-insurance account with the insurance repository that has already come up, where e-insurance account is also being pushed now, and considering the regulator, it might become mandatory very soon. So there is an insurance repository. There are insurance repositories where today if you take a policy, it is an opt-in, where you can specify that I want this policy as an e-insurance policy. Okay, so you can opt in with any insurer today, and those go to a standard insurance repository, similar to how you have a CAMS for all your mutual fund. Here you have an insurance repository for all your insurance policy. So it does exist, and I think it is only a matter of time before it becomes the standard.
Yeah, I concur with it. Today there is an option when you onboard a journey as to which particular repository do you want to opt in for your insurance DMAT data. However, it's not mandatory, but it will get mandated. So thank you for being a lovely audience, and thank you, my esteemed panelists, for a very insightful discussion. It was a good time, I think so, yeah. Which we spent.
Thank you.
Thank you.